13th session of Expert Speak. Ritesh is a very popular name in the Indian startup ecosystem. He's a doctor, he's an entrepreneur, he's an investor, has done a bunch of things. He's also the founder of Innov8, and he's also leading efforts at Project Guerilla, which I would love to hear more about. And today he's going to be talking about a very important topic about founder mindset and how it helps in building companies and getting success on those. So thank you so much, Ritesh, for taking out time for this today. And over to you.
Thank you very much, Devakar. Super excited for this. I really like the kind of knowledge sharing that happens on creators of product. I did see a couple of YouTube sessions, especially I really liked Sairi's session, and I believe that building products out of India is something. The skill of building products out of India is something which is still missing in a lot of entrepreneurs, including me. And I've realized that that is the most fundamental skill. Great companies are built on insanely great, valuable products. So with this, I'll just take over and I'll just tell you why I chose this topic, because I'm no expert in building products. But I realized that the biggest product which every entrepreneur has is his mind, his mindset, and the way he thinks about challenges and opportunities in his life. So with this, I'll just share my screen and take you through. So the whole idea is, I'll first take you through my journey, how I have how I have been doing my startup life, and then we'll take you through things which have really helped me out, and things which have really I believe which I have made a lot of mistakes, which I really want to caution entrepreneurs to not make the same mistakes. So I'll just take you through this. I hope I'm audible.
I can hear you. People can you all hear Ritesh? Okay.
Because I've got a comment from Shruti. She's saying
Yeah.
not audible. If I'm okay, great, thank you. So great. Taking you, I think I'm one of the most ill-focused people in the history of mankind. I've done my medical school. I graduated from my medical college. I did it from a small village in Tamil Nadu called Teni. It's the Virappan belt of Nilgiri forests. And back in 2013, I graduated. And as a normal human being, I'll just take 3 to 4 minutes of my life, and I'll take you through the 4 disorders of my life, called the DVD, the BBE, the APS, and the FNP. I'm a doctor, so I'll be taking you through these disorders in a very medical way. So the DVD stands for developmental verbal dyspraxia. When I was a child, I could not pronounce the alphabet R. So R went as, जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं ग. So my name Ritesh went as Gitesh, and fortunately or unfortunately, all the people of my family had their names starting with R. My father Ravi went as Gavi, my mother Renu went as Genu, my sister Ridhima went as Gidhima, and the person who used to come for an hour to actually clean our house, his name was Ramu. So I used to just call him Gamu Gamu. Now, if this wasn't making my life hell, there's another disorder, especially I'm 1989 born, which we've seen, called the BBE syndrome. This is called the bullied by everyone syndrome. I still look handsome now, but I was extremely thin, very dark shaded, and being dark shaded in a Punjabi family was actually a taboo. So I used to get a lot of bullying from my schoolmates and all. If these two disorders weren't making my life hell, there's a third disorder which is very prevalent in our family, called the APS, the Asian Parent Syndrome. I have 37 doctors in my family. We hail from a very middle class Punjabi family where you can do anything that you want, but first you need to finish your medical schooling. And I realized that our education system has failed us massively. And why we have not made great creators of product in India, the biggest reason is our failure of education system. And the fourth one, the FNP, I'll come on in a while. So this is me in 2012. I gave my final year exam, and I was working at a hospital called Gangaram. I was 52 kgs then. And I realized one thing, that working at Gangaram, I used to hate seeing patients. And the first trend that I learned was the fact that never ever do anything which you are not passionate about. If today you feel that you're not passionate about the work that you are doing, irrespective of the outcome, resign. So I meet a lot of people as a part of my business, we are into co-working spaces, I meet a lot of people, and I continuously ask them that, what do you want to do? Are you doing that particular thing right now? And almost 90% say that we are waiting for the right moment. And I realized that I do not have to wait for the right moment. I need to become an entrepreneur. I need to do something. I might fail. And for that, I cannot not be hanging in two boats where from morning 9 to 5, I do my medical job and then come back tired and then build a startup. I took the call, I quit my job, and we started something called AdStuck, which had built augmented reality app called Alive for Times of India. So I will also take you through a lot of trends that I've followed, and while building AdStuck, this was our first office. I realized one thing: our office was in now it's a decent area, but it was in a small sector called Sector 63 in Noida. And I realized that while building startups, the biggest flaw was that offices are so mundane in India. We have a significant problem in the country where on Monday mornings, people did not want to go to their offices because Monday blues was an actual syndrome. And we talk about offices of Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. If you go to an office of Kanpur, you'll really feel that मैं कहाँ आ गया. So we saw massive opportunity in the fact that, and also 21% of the seed capital of any startup goes into refurbishing a new office. So back in 2016, we realized that there's a massive opportunity to transform the office landscape for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and early stage founders. So with that, we came out with the idea that let's do the following. Let's focus on helping founders build companies by giving them seed capital, for which we launched Project Guerilla. And the idea was that whoever is building something which is beautiful in terms of product, irrespective of whether they are from IITs, IIMs, whether they have education or not, we'll give them seed capital. And then we'll burn the seed capital and never ask for that capital ever again. And in our balance sheets, we literally used to make that investment a written down investment. If it comes back, very well and good. If it doesn't, and our horizon is a 10-year long horizon. The idea for doing this was that we realized it's not about the money that you invest in startups. It is actually about founders investing in other founders, which will make the product culture of India grow. So with that, we realized that there's a huge opportunity in helping founders. And while doing that, we realized that the biggest trend would be to build offices which are flexible and where you do not have 5 to 9 year leases. But those offices should be so beautiful. They should be better than a Google office, cheaper than an office that you were in before, at the same time, so efficient, so functional. And you should, like, Mondays को ना ऐसा लगना चाहिए कि यार बस Monday आ जाए. I really want to go to my office. So that was with that intent. We planned that we'll name the entire office space called Innov8. Innov8 stood for, or for us, Innov8 was a new form of commercial offering and a tech-led co-working startup. We were the third co-working player in the country back in 2016, and we launched one small space in Connaught Place. While doing that, we realized, and our spaces were like really beautiful. Like we used to really work hard on this. This is the picture of the first space that we had made out of, and this was an 83 member co-working space. And the moment we launched, at that point in time, 2015 end, no one knew about co-working. So it was, now it's very ubiquitous. Everyone knows about co-working. We realized कि यार ये तो problem आ गई, because हम जिससे भी बात करते थे, we used to do a lot of research कि नहीं आप ये इस टाइप का अगर हम Connaught Place में बनाएंगे, will you buy it? And they said, obviously we'll buy it. We went to the same people and they said, no, we don't know about co-working. And obviously we had a lot of recurring rentals and all. And for the first 3 months, we were not able to sell a single seat. And we realized that now we need to create, this was our first center, INNOV8, this was in Connaught Place. And we realized that attracting the first 100 users is the biggest hurdle that founders need to step up for creating a good startup. And we realized that India does not have innovators. The concept of big scary chasm in India is very limited. And because there are very low early adopters, you need to create a massive level of uh, uh, massive level of pull for the first 100 customers, be it a tech product, be it a product which is like ours. So what we and second was, once you have the first 100 customers, going from 100 customers to 1000 customers is very easy in India. So with that, what we planned was, we did two things to attract the first 100 customers. The first one was, Indians have a herd mentality. I used to take my Segway and we used to roam about in the embassy area of India, which is the Chanakyapuri area. वहां पे जितने भी अंग्रेज होते थे, we used to tell them that Innov8 is a new hub, world hub of startup founders. You come and you just spend time with us, and let's do a lot of idea pollination and build communities. We will not charge anyone. The moment we started having a lot of Firang people in our campus, Indians started thinking that यार अगर फिरंग वहां जा रहे हैं तो कुछ तो बात होगी जगह में. So then we started attracting a lot of Indian founders. And then we were able to sell the entire space, and that was by actually limiting the entire concept by because you were not able to sell a single seat. So we came out with a concept that Innov8 में वैसे जगह नहीं मिलती है. You need to apply to take a seat in Innov8. ऐसे नहीं मिल जाएगा that you come and you pay some money and you'll get. So we actually started getting almost 200 to 300 applications each day to be a part of Innov8. And then we selected the 83 best of them. So we realized that actually creating artificial scarcity works wonders when it comes to attracting your first 100 customers. And then we realized that, okay, now we've built a campus which is 100% occupied, good ARPU. How do we take this to 100 campuses in the next 3 to 4 years? So we realized that everything that you build needs to have a fundamental and first principle. I think the biggest mistake that I personally did was I was not able to build these fundamentals in the start of my journey. From the day you start writing your 100-year vision, 5-year mission, 2-year mission, coming 4-quarter mission, and coming quarter mission. Consolidate your thought process, and that will help you so much in building the entire company that you can't even imagine. So we realized for us, those 4 principles were community, location, design, and technology-led operations. And we realized that when we are a co-working player, today we have spent some money to build a co-working space. Tomorrow, our competitor can come and spend 10 times more than that. The biggest asset that we have, always build a moat which your competitor can never, ever compete with. For us, that moat was community. We realized that for Innov8, we need to make sure that we do at least in one particular campus, at least 15 events per month. The day we start doing that, we actually become so powerful because our customers then don't come to us for office spaces. They come to us for a business, because there's a vital community aspect which is always looking for solutions. B, the fact that they come to us for learning. Education has become redundant. We believe that when sessions like these happen, what creators of product is doing, when you do these kind of sessions, and especially if you start doing them offline, the kind of synergies that you build, you can't even imagine the possibility, especially when it comes to entrepreneurial communities. The second one for us was location. We realized we are a real estate business. We always wanted to call ourselves as a tech business because that actually gives us a lot of valuation. That being said, we are a location-based real estate Lala business. We need to be there in locations, and we thought that how do we hack that entire premise of location? And we started doing a lot of research, and then we came up with a simple hack. We will not do research on ke kahan pe hame campus kholna hai. We came out with one simple thing: wherever there's a Starbucks, you should be able to reach a Starbucks by your foot in 300 seconds. In 5 minutes, if I'm able to access a Starbucks, that's the ideal location, because Starbucks does a lot of research in selecting locations. That is why they have the least closure rates worldwide. So we realized that don't do a lot of math. Wherever a Starbucks opens, we just somehow scavenge across that area and we open our campus. The third one was design. We realized that if you don't feel like, I don't know how many of you realize this, But if you don't have a good vibe in your office now, and also if you understand, we spent almost more than 50% of our time pre-COVID in offices, awake hours in offices. We used to spend almost 7 to 8 hours of our day in offices. Now, just imagine if your offices are not beautiful, they are not effective, they are not, or they do not help you induce ideas, then it's a waste of time. So we realized that let's build the most beautiful offices ever seen in India by an Indian company, and let's give an answer to WeWork in terms of the design and yet be one third of its price. And the fourth one was technology-led ops. Use technology as much as possible. These are the kind of events that we used to do. We used to do a lot of events for the government of India. We used to do a lot of, and then we finally went into Y Combinator. And this is a trend that we have been continuously following for the past 4 years. That was your space size is directly proportional to the cube of community. The larger your space, पहले हम छोटे छोटे spaces बनाते थे 5,000 6,000 square feet. We realized the moment you do 50,000 square feet and you have 1,000 entrepreneurs working there, your community becomes so powerful that you can't even imagine. So we then gave up the idea of building smaller campuses, and we gave up and we went on building larger campuses. Our ideal size is now 750 to 1,000 people working in one campus. These are a couple of Innov8 offices. This is and we take a lot of Indian design. We take a lot of sustainable design. We take a lot of Coke bottles. We work with local artisans, and we have the largest space to green space ratio in the country today when it comes to building green offices in India. We partner with a lot of local artisans to actually help them support or A, their art, B, help people actually see what Indian art is all about. These are a couple of our campuses. They will give you an idea on how we are trying to disrupt the office culture of India. And while this might not be a tech product, but we've realized that product is all about two things. The first one is writing. Whatever thought you have, write it down. Whatever thought you have, write it down. Good, bad, doesn't matter. Write it down. The second is the moment you have the second principle is consolidate your written documents into one pages. Every 57 pages should be actually converted into a one pager document for building the best product possible. So we've realized that and we've taken, like, this is at Connaught Place campus. We've worked with a lot of Bollywood actors. We've worked with a lot of Bollywood those people who used to do a lot of if you remember वो जो halls के आगे है ना paint करते थे लोग. We used to take a lot of those people and actually help those people A, economically, B, also help our younger generation see what Indian art is all about. We are the world's first company that has taken a heritage palace in a heritage fort on lease is with the name Innov8 Old Fort Saket, where we have actually it's a very old structure. And here we've worked with a lot of Mughal artists to actually recreate what Mughal era was all about. Today we have close to 30,000 members who pre-COVID used to come with across sectors of media, startups and all. These are a couple of events that we have done, and this is a very important trend that I realized very late on in my life. And this trend is everything in India is a function of cost. That is why all the B2B SaaS companies want to have US as their customers. Indian companies are a very bad customer when it comes to seeing ARPUs. India is a country where you have a very wide pyramid with a very narrow top. You will only be able to sustain in India if you keep on decreasing cost, increasing your quality, and focusing on scale. And then fourth very important point, which a lot of product founders forget, is sales. The moment you nail the product, focus on sales, build your sales capabilities, because everything is a function of sales. Your lead engines, your ability to sell, your collaterals, everything is so important. First is build the best product ever, and then everything depends on your sales. And the sixth trend that I really believe is that, as you have seen, the world is changing. It's changing with the pace of light. Disruption is right it on our nose right now. And I think outdoing yourself is something which is so important. And the only way to do that is talk to your customers. And we don't mind even paying our customers to get their feedback. Their feedback is God. That is detailed. If you have 10 customers who give you detailed feedbacks and you schedule 2 hour Zoom calls with them, you will be able to find God in those conversations. I believe that talking to your customers and taking their feedbacks is so important, and then clubbing it with your vision. That will give you a product which is amazing. Uh, so with all of this, in 2019, we sold Innov8, and in the entire journey, we have raised close to 11 to 12 crores in equity capital, and rest in debt. So we realized that we were one of those companies that were able, without a VC funding, to sell for a decent open deal to Oyo. Uh, and now, so this is the journey of how we built Innov8. A couple of things on the mindset, and please let me know if I need to shorten this, Divakar.
No, no,
I
continue. This is going
I
very. This is going great.
Do I have 5-10 minutes more?
You easily have 10, 15 even if you want.
So now
But this is going very good.
great. So I realized that as a founder, and मैं तो मेरे पास ना कोई MBA की डिग्री है, ना कुछ है. I realized that uh, the only thing that you need to be a great founder is your ability to just circumvent your own mindset. We have so many barriers when it comes to our mindset. We have so many barriers that we can't even imagine. The biggest barrier is, which is called the anti-jump phenomenon, AJP. Anti-jump phenomenon means that there are so many people who are working in a startup. They know the startup culture, and they are insanely valuable product managers, but they don't jump. They know when if they start a startup, they will be able to do very well. But AJP stops them. Anti-jump phenomenon. Make sure that whenever you have an idea, the first thing that you do is you do something to actually put yourself in an uncomfortable zone. Actions like, if you believe that you have an idea and you want to work on it, next day go and quit your job. I personally, and it's a very unpopular opinion, I personally, a lot of people say, no, you should be secure. You should make sure that you have your job, and at the same time you have your startup. I personally believe until and unless you quit your job, you don't come in an uncomfortable position. And Indians by nature, we are like rockets. Until and unless burning fuel of 5,000 tons is crawling on our back areas, we will not fly. And that is so critical that you can't even imagine. Jump, and jump is one word. A lot of people ask me, and my business is, I'm very fortunate to meet a lot of founders, because my business is to help founders get an office space. So I interact with a lot of founders, founders who've just started up, founders who are thinking of starting up, founders who have raised their seed, angel, series A, B, C, founders even who have done an IPO. And I realized that the only way to jump from an idea to building something valuable is, the first step is jumping. People don't jump, and the biggest reason is, as Indians, we have a lot of societal pressures. We have a lot of, and those pressures need to be controlled, and you need to make sure that you need to give yourself an year to actually work on yourself. So make sure that you jump. The second thing is, I believe the biggest flaw in Indian founders, and this I learned at Y Combinator, is the fact that clarity is missing in almost every Indian founder, including me. And this is, and I'll tell you as an example. While I was pitching to Y Combinator, and Indians love to use heavy languages like artificial intelligence, machine learning. So I went to YC back in 2016 summer, and they asked me, what are you trying to do? So I said that we are developing world's most futuristic physical platform for founders, investors, freelancers to collaborate, create vital communities, and build value by providing them spaces which will change their mindset and create valuable technology products out of India. This was, and at that point in time, my YC partner said, "Are you nuts? Are you mad? What are you saying? Tell me what are you doing in just one line, 5 to 7 words? That's it." I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And he said, "No jargon." I said, "All right." So he said, "Can you please explain what are you doing?" So I said, "We build beautiful co-working offices in India." He said, "That's it. You need to be that clear in one line. How can you describe?" And you cannot be. The beauty of your product manager is you cannot solve for every customer in the world. If you want to become a very valuable, heftily valued startup, or a startup which has 100 million ARR, you honestly just need to have, say, 1 million customers. If you have 1 million customers, you will be one of the most sought after pre-IPO startup stocks in the entire world. And 1 million customers is a huge number. The question is your clarity of your product, your offering. Do not offer, and be that clear that यही मेरे को इसी को ही offer करना है, and I will just focus on this. Until and unless Indian founders have this weakness that we try to do a lot of things together. Multitasking is something that we believe we are very good at. We are not. And that is extremely important. And for us, that piece was, we will focus on founders. We will try and focus as much on founders as possible. And our founders were also very clear. Founders who have raised angel capital to founders who are doing Series B companies. That's it. This is our focus. We do not want to go after IPO startups. We do not want to go after family offices because they don't understand the vibe. The more clear you are about your customer, the better are your chances of converting the entire acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, and a referral cycle, and conversion of a person who does not know about your product to the fact that he becomes a brand ambassador. The question is, can you do that within 14 days? The second part is, this is extremely important, and this is a massive failure that I have done, and which I have changed in the past 2 years. What not to do is extremely important. As a founder, we are basically not chief executive officers, we are chief everything officers. We make lists and we have to-do lists which cannot be completed even in an entire year. Pareto's principle is 20-80, I go to 199. Make sure you do the most impactful 3 tasks every day. Your quality of decisions will define your success. So making sure of, so it is better to make a list of what not to do, because if you start tracking your time, you will realize that you are doing things which should not be done. And always apply the 4D phenomenon. Either delegate, dump, defer, or do. But that do should be so minute part of the entire 3D that make sure that you have a strong on key area, that focus is the most important thing in that any founder can actually attribute his success to. So I believe that 1970s were an era of IQ, intelligence quotient. 1995, 2000, 2005 were the eras of emotional quotient. Tomorrow, now is the era of TQ, trust quotient. If you ask me, the biggest asset for a company is not its cash and cash equivalents, but the brand that the company owns. The perception of the founder in eyes of the investors, perception of the founder in eyes of his team, the perception of the product in eyes of the customers and the consumers alike is something which is only built by something called trust. Trust is the most intangible asset, and people who create value are amazing at creating trust. The more people trust you, the better moat you are able to build for yourself. So TQ is so important, and TQ stands for, there's a phenomenon called the Trixie phenomenon. Trust is equal to RICC divided by SI. R stands for reliability. Your skill, hone your skills, like be the master of your skill. ऐसा होना चाहिए कि if it is an office space, you come to an office space and people are wowed. वो क्या यार रितेश, क्या बना क्या दिया यार तूने, मतलब this is fabulous, and people just jump out of their chairs when they hear the prices. ऐसा प्रोडक्ट बना दो कि भगवान कहता है खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा खुद आके तुझसे पूछे कि तेरी रजा क्या है. Make yourself so skilled that God himself asks you कि यार तू क्या चाहता है. So making sure you are reliable for your skill. I stands for intimacy. The way you talk to people, the way you and build relationships, the way you hold up to your word. That is it. Business is never B2B or B2C. It's always P2P, people to people. The way you handle people defines a lot about your success. C stands for credibility. How you manage your PR as a founder. I always tell founders that build your PR, have a Twitter handle, have Instagram handles. They will help you scavenge opportunities which are going to other people. Another C, credibility is what people say about me at my back. Divakar says great things about me. Ritesh is a good entrepreneur and XYZ. The question is, after this session, does Divakar say the same thing to his wife or his family today evening? That I spoke to a decent guy today. That is my credibility. And if that credibility goes down, my trust goes down. And trust is inversely proportional to something called SI, self-interest. This is so important, fundamental value. So the first thing is great trust building abilities. Second is product. Third is sales. But this is fundamental. This is the base of the pyramid. If you don't have this, you can never build a large company. So I asked my dad, do you trust me? He said, Ritesh, with all my heart, I love you with all my heart. I trust you with all my heart. I said, would you want to do a heart surgery? Would you want to undergo a heart surgery by me? He said, Pagal ho gaya. You've left medicine. You don't know. How can I ask? I can't trust you. He said, I told him, you said that you trust me. He said, then I told him scientifically, why don't you trust me? Because my reliability in doing a heart surgery is very low. Though my intimacy and intent is very high, my credibility is very low in doing a heart surgery. And I realized that in every situation, make sure that type 10 relationships banao. But those relationships should be deeply trust based. This is something which is so important. I cannot and हम लोगों ने तो कभी VC capital raise नहीं किया. So this was out of any option. We had to pursue frugality. But this is something which is so critical. There are two things, and please Devakar scold me if I just go above my time. There are two things. One is whenever there's a challenge, whenever there's a problem, we have two options. Poor founders like me throw their intellect. Rich founders who are VC backed, they throw money. My belief is always throw intellect will always overpower money. Challenges which are managed by intellect can never be managed by money to the extent that you can manage by intellect. Make sure every expense in your company is and a good part of India is that हमारा ना expense management system बहुत अच्छा है. वो किताब और पेपर पे ना हमारा जो हिसाब होता है वो दुनिया का कोई split wise या कोई ऐप नहीं ठीक से कर सकता. So my request is make frugality, and more than money, make frugality of time. Don't invest time. Say no to a bloody 1,000 things. Say no to 1,000 things. This is something that people will always ask you for your time. Say no to 1,000 things until and unless it is valuable to you. Your success is only on your shoulders. You cannot complain tomorrow. If I am seeing as a doctor, if I'm seeing patients and I'm not happy about it, I cannot complain to my parents that no, I'm not happy. Why did you make me become a doctor? You need to own your life, have absolute ownership and accountability, and take steps to actually reform your life and build what you want to build. I believe this is something which is so valuable. This is a marathon. This is a long-term game. Make sure that ethics, the way you talk, the way you walk, be helpful. Media will write good things about you, bad things about you, doesn't matter. Hold on to your first principles. Be as much helpful as possible. Help founders, because I've seen that the only thing which will give you the highest return is if you help someone. You can't even imagine वो कहाँ से return आएगा, वो आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा. Make sure that you are ethical and you help people. Network is bullshit. The PR is bullshit. The most important thing is building long-term relationships. So, and this is a very personal example. When you are a small founder, any journalist reaches out to you, you get excited. And मेरे साथ ये होता था कि यार हो सकता है story छप जाए. There might be a chance, and we are all hungry for PR. Especially as early stage founders, PR helps you get a lot of credibility, which in turn links to funding, customers, XYZ. So जब मैंने पहले Innov8 लॉन्च किया था, and this is very personal. Any media person who used to come, I used to think यार हो सकता है story छप जाए तो बात करते हैं. And I realized that वो कभी छपती नहीं थी. They used to just take information from me and go. But I realized that Ritesh कोई बात नहीं, अपना भी दिन आएगा. Just help them out. एक तो दिन आएगा कि उनको लगेगा कि यार मतलब एक इंसान से इतना हमने वो कर दिया, और नहीं भी आता ना, just build relationships. I think that is so important. Help and build. And the problem is everyone is looking to build relationships to get something. Give back. If you have the ability to give back, no. और मेरे को लोग पूछते हैं कि how do you build relationships with amazingly large founders, with people who have a lot of money and all. And I realized that अगर आपके पास कुछ नहीं है ना किसी को देने के लिए, अपनी लॉयल्टी दे दो. वो तो हर इंसान के पास है. The idea is give something to people, and people are in this world where everyone is looking. This is called the WITIFM, which is called the WITIFM phenomenon. What is in it for me? Don't ask what is in it for me. Just do कि यार नेकी कर कुएं में डाल. I think that is so important as a founder. Feedback is breakfast for champions. I think that take as much free feedback as possible. And coming to the last 2 minutes, this was a very interesting research done by one of the authors at Innov8 and this is a personal revelation which I was surprised by. I thought that the richest people in the world would be getting their wealth from their ancestors. But this was very interesting. Out of the 100 richest people in the world, this is back in 2017, only 27 were heirs. That meant that 27 लोगों का पैसा उनके पेरेंट्स ने दिया. Out of those 27, out of those 100, 73 were self-made. Then I thought that ये लोग या तो हार्वर्ड गए होंगे या IIT गए होंगे. Out of these 73, to my surprise, 18 had no college degrees, 36 were born in extremely poor households, and the remaining were neither born to wealthy parents nor had any degree. So I realized that success का ना पढ़ाई से, आपके पास कितना पैसा है, आपका क्या कलर है, does not matter. Success is something different. So went deep into the lives of these 73 people, and the following came out to be a very, very interesting slide. All these people were amazing at things which are not taught in schools. I believe I have wasted 14 years of my life in DPS Mathura Road, which is so called one of the good schools of India. उसके बाद मैंने मेडिकल कॉलेज पढ़ा, 5.5 साल वहां लगा दिया, ऑलमोस्ट 6 साल. एंड आई रियलाइज दैट जो भी मैंने पढ़ा उसका साला कोई वैल्यू ही नहीं है. एंड जो नहीं पढ़ा, जो पढ़ना चाहिए था, वो उसको टीचर्स ने कहा उसको तो है ना चीटिंग करके लिख लेना. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट दैट टुडे आई बिलीव दैट आई शुड हैव फोकस्ड ऑन इज व्हाट वी गेट टॉट इन आवर प्री स्कूल्स. फॉलो अ लाइन. Make sure that you हमारे आज भी if you see you go to a theater you will see people. The single biggest annoying thing, आप दुनिया के किसी कोने में चले जाओ, इंडियंस हमेशा लाइन को तोड़ रहे होते. if you see and basic value system, moral studies हमारे 5th class में पढ़ाया जाता था. The question is, I still remember my teacher slapped me once because I did not know when was Babur born. हमें पता ही नहीं करना यार बाबर कब पैदा हुआ. It doesn't matter. What matters is why did Babur become so powerful? So we came out with this thought process called the alchemist mindset. Alchemist is anyone who touches anything becomes valuable, Midas touch. So we thought that ये 73 लोगों में ना ये कुछ चीजें common थी. A stood for action, bias for action. अगर आज आप में से कोई आदमी सोच रहा है ना कि मेरे को कुछ करना है, stop thinking, jump, act, fail, come back, again act. Trust me, you will be better off failing than regretting. When we die, they say we have 2 to 3,000 forms of our own self. एक मैं हूं जो मैं सोचता हूँ कि नहीं यार मैं स्टारबक्स का है ना, क्या काश बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर बन जाऊं, वो स्टारबक्स के वो पकड़ के रितेश आएगा मेरे पास जब मैं मरने वाला हूँ. ये सब है ना बातें आती हैं. द क्वेश्चन इज नेवर डाई ऑफ रिग्रेट्स, डाई ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस. फीलिंग इज, पता है 2019 में एक अच्छी चीज क्या हुई थी देश के साथ, लास्ट 1 मिनट, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम 135 crore Indians held each other's hands and celebrated failure when Chandrayaan did not land on the moon. हमने फेलियर को एक्सेप्ट 2019 में पहली बार किया. मेरे ना मैथ्स में बड़े कम मार्क्स आते थे. I used to always get snubbed in my house. I realized that जब तक फेल नहीं करोगे ना तब तक गिव ना. L stood for learning. In this disruptive environment, learning is something which is so critical. And this is my personal, I spend at least 1.5 hours a day reading new things, irrespective, but read new things. C stood for confidence. As an underconfident, very thin, abhi to main fir bhi sundar ho gaya, lekin very thin, dark shaded boy, one thing which I lacked was confidence. And after doing all of this, I realized it doesn't matter. What people think about you is none of your business, and most of the times people are not thinking about you. H stood for humility. India is an emotional country. Be as humble as possible. H also stood for hustling it out. E stood for enthusiasm. All these people had one thing in common. They were inverse paranoids. They believed that this will work. Optimism is so critical. मेरा एक दोस्त है, मेरा बेस्ट फ्रेंड है. आप उससे जब भी पूछोगे ना, मैंने जब एडस्टेक चालू किया उससे पूछा कि यार ये कैसा चलेगा, कहता न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ता कौन है, ये नहीं चलेगा. Then when I started investing into startups, he said, रितेश पागल हो गया, लोग शेयर मार्केट में तो पैसा कमाते नहीं है, स्टार्टअप्स में तो कहां से कमाएगा. Then when I started Innov8, he said, रितेश पागल हो गया, लोग तेरे ऑफिस में इकट्ठे क्यों काम करेंगे जब अपना ऑफिस है. I realized that consistently cut yourself from negative souls and obviously try to make them positive. If he's your best friend, you don't have an option. But I realized that become an inverse paranoid in this world where you have a lot of naysayers. Become a yes sayer and make sure that you are optimistic. M stood for majestic dreamers. The biggest flaw that we have is not in achieving small goals, not in failing at large goals, but in achieving small ones. Think as big as possible. अगर आज आप एक छोटा सा प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हो, the question is how do you take it to the US? How do you eventually take it to the world and become a large company that is based in India from the national soil? Innovation, so critical. Become and at the same time become paranoid when it comes to competition. Innovate yourself on a daily basis. That's why the name of my company is Innov8. S stood for strategic thinkers. How many of you write down your goals? Write down your goals, 5-year plan, 18-month plan, quarter plans, monthly plans, aaj ke din ka plan. People who write down their goals, in 73 mein se, in their biographies, almost 43 of them wrote down their goals in books, which they have publicly accepted. Write down your goals. Writing is magic. And then what gets measured gets achieved. T is tinkering. Tinkering is build long-term relationships. Do not think about short-term में इससे क्या फायदा होगा या नफा या नुकसान होगा. Build tinkering is not about networking. It's not about exchanging business cards. It's become valuable to people and help people give back. That is something which is extremely important. I think I've passed my time. I'm extremely sorry for that, Devakar. I hope this helps.
No. This is so good and it's so relatable, and all the things that you have said are so right, even for tech products or any kind of products, because it doesn't matter. If you put your mind to it, you'll be able to do a bunch of those things. There's one very interesting thing about your career which you have not touched, and before I jump onto questions, I want you to touch upon that as well. You're a doctor, and becoming a doctor is lots of hard work. It's not easy, and it takes time. Even after being a doctor, you went on to become an entrepreneur, and you showed that one should not worry so much about the sunk cost fallacy, because a lot of times this happens to us because something that we have been doing, that baggage we carry, and we continue doing that, and you were able to let go of all that baggage and jump into something very, very new. So please tell a little bit about how you were able to move on from that and do what you wanted to do.
So I think so I personally, this is my belief, this is my personal belief. The first one is that start as early as possible. The good part with my career was I started when I did not have a wife or a kid or a lot of responsibilities. And I come from a background where I never had to worry about कि मेरे को खाने के लिए क्या मिलेगा, and I had a comfortable life. I could eat well. I had ACs in my house, and so I think I come from a very privileged background. So I was never bothered about कि मेरे को खाने के लिए मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा. That, and I realized the moment you cross the threshold of 28, 30, it becomes very hard for you to start up, because now when I have a wife, when I will be having a baby, you everyone is looking up to you, and you cannot keep on mooching of money from your parents. So you need to start before the shame of taking money of your parents ends. So I call this the 26 and a half, 27-year-old phenomenon, where you need to start as soon as possible. And also, I think this is my personal belief. I think if you are not happy with what you are doing, uh, I think that if it's not worth it. A lot of people die at 75, but die at 25, but actually are buried when they are 75, because and when I used to have these conversations with my parents, they used to feel, are you mad? You have a clinic, we have everything for you. In India, we have something called the uh, kangaroo parenting, where our parents, they love us. There's no bond purer than a parent and a child. But out of the fact that they don't want us to struggle, that is why we have familial businesses. पांच generation से कलकत्ता में मेरा दोस्त है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ coal mining ही कर रहे हैं, because they feel they have the IP in the family. They don't understand things are going. So now in the current era, I believe, and I had told my parents just one thing, that if I fail, I would rather sell chole bhature on a street and then eventually become a haldiram than become a doctor and die each and every day. This is death actually. If you are doing something, do you know the pain of working on some idea with which you are not happy at the time you sleep is one of the worst pains in the known humanity. So I believe doing that is extremely important.
Great. Let's take some questions now. Chandra Rathi, you want to ask a question? Chandra,
Ritesh,
yeah.
hi, am I audible? So, Ritesh, actually, this one thing that I've always like thought through. There's something that always comes into my mind. Like, how do you evaluate an idea? Like, if there's something that comes into your head. So, let's say when you started AdStuck, how, like, what type of market research did you do, or how did you figure out that this is the right way to at least start? The product would have gone under multiple iterations, but the beginning, how were you sure that this is where you want to start?
So, Chandra, I have a very interesting thought about that. I believe that there is no amount of market research that can be done to immunize yourself from success or failure. I believe that what you need to do is, there are three circles. The first one is write down things that you are deeply passionate about. Don't worry about industry कैसा है, वो बाद में देखेंगे. Write down things that you are deeply passionate about. जैसे, and I'll tell you my guilt pleasures are building real estate spaces. You come to my Innov8, I will take you through, and my description of Innov8, you will actually start getting tears in your eyes. यार मतलब, because when I explain to you, this is my farmhouse, each and every painting that you will see here, each and everything is just out of sheer love. The question is, do something that you love. That is the first fundamental thing about an idea validation. बात नहीं फर्क पड़ेगा कि आप कि उसका क्या मार्केट है क्या नहीं है, वो बाद में देखेंगे. So the first thing is that do something that you are passionate about. Now the question is, how do you know what your passion areas are? And this is something which I always tell whenever I go to schools to actually talk to young students. A lot of their teachers and parents ask me कि यार passion की आपने बात की, what is passion according to you and how do you define it? I said the passion according to me is give a whiteboard and a Pinterest app to a child and leave him with just food for a day. वो क्या करता है? क्योंकि पहले 3-4 दिन बोर होएगा, 3-4 घंटे बोर होएगा. जब उसको नेटफ्लिक्स नहीं मिलेगा, जब उसको कोई यूट्यूब नहीं मिलेगा, वो ना पिंटरेस्ट पे कुछ देखने लगेगा. एंड देन सी हिज सेव्ड बोर्ड्स. व्हाट इज ही पैशनेट अबाउट? आप उसकी है ना जो मेरे को आपका नहीं पता, मैं हमारे यहाँ पे है ना नवनीत की किताबें आती थी जिसमें है ना पहले पेज पे हम लोग अपने, जैसे मैं पंजाबी हिंदू खतरे हूँ तो मैं ओम लिखता था, मेरा जो बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है वो अल्लाह लिखता था, जो मेरा पंजाबी दोस्त है वो वाहिगुरु लिखता था, हम अपने रिलीजियस चीजें लिखते थे. सेकंड पेज पे नई नई किताब जब खुलती है ना, आप बेस्ट हैंड राइटिंग से अलग अलग पेन से लिखते हो, हेडिंग को काले पेन से, नीचे ब्लू पेन से. यू आर वेरी पैशनेट अबाउट राइटिंग. एज द बुक गेट्स ओल्डर, आप जब सेकंड लास्ट पेज तक आते हो ना, आपकी हैंडराइटिंग ऐसे हो जाती है जैसे डॉक्टर की हैंडराइटिंग होती है प्रिस्क्रिप्शन पे. ये इन सब जगहों पे पैशन नहीं है. पैशन आपको मिलता है लास्ट पेज पे. जब वो टीचर वहां बकवास कर रहा है ना, लास्ट सीट पे जब आप बैठे हो, आप है ना, कोई है ना अपनी बुक में है ना बिल्डिंग्स बना रहा है, कोई अपनी बुक में है ना गाड़ियां बना रहा है. A lot of those deciphering can be done by those things. So I believe, one, that you should be passionate about the idea. Second thing is launch an MVP. For us, someone has rightly asked that how did you manage to raise build the startup without work. So we realized that building MVP is so important. Silicon Valley is so ahead of us today because they know the art of building MVPs. And आपको पता है 48 घंटे लगते हैं MVP बनाने में. We are procrastinators. हम है ना continuously इसको defer करते रहेंगे कि नहीं यार perfection trap में फंस जाते हैं. So for me, the MVP was, we went to a hotel, took a room, and within 48 hours asked Urban Ladder कि यार हमारे को है ना इस टाइप से एक ऑफिस बनाना है, and 6 लोगों का ऑफिस बनाया हमने. We asked those people that, do you feel this is valuable? Would you be able to pay us 6,000 rupees? They said yes. Immediately हम लोग गए और हमने एक थोड़ा सा बड़ा लिया. It's always gradual. You can't, and how you enter into an industry. I entered the augmented reality industry and finally went off and honestly made money, decent amount of money through the co-working industry. Now I don't know. Now I'm 31. I don't know that now in which industry will I enter. So I think just do things that you are passionate about, and you will see actions. Clarity keeps on coming. So my request is, and also then do a research on CAGR of industries. If your passion is into newspapers, then fine tune your passion, because newspaper में आज आप launch करोगे, कितना भी अच्छा newspaper हो वो fail होएगा धीमे धीमे. The question is, make sure that you also align yourself with what are people willing to pay for, and which industries have a CAGR higher than at least 100%. तो for us we did a McKinsey research. बहुत अच्छे McKinsey और ये लोग इतना काम करते हैं, सब फ्री में डाल देते हैं ऑनलाइन. आप ऑनलाइन बैठो, उनके पेपर्स निकाल लो और वो आप पढ़ोगे. 2015 में I read that co-working is going to increase in the way you can't even imagine. So we took the call कि मुझे डिजाइन पसंद है, मुझे co-working इनका डिजाइन भी पसंद आ जाएगा, वो बना लेंगे, and we will figure out कैसे करना है. So I believe that starting and idea का MVP बनाना is extremely important. I hope this answers your question, Chandra.
That's great.
It does, Ritesh. Thank you so much.
Utkarsh?
Right. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Ritesh. I mean, this was so amazing. I just kept on listening. I could not even make notes. So my question is, I am in kind of a situation that you have described. I'm 23 years old right now. I've just, left my job. Now, you said that from day one, you have to think of 5 years ahead, 2 years ahead, and, next quarter ahead. Right now, I feel scared to think of 5 years ahead because I do not even know if my product or service will work. So it feels like making khayali pulao because I have no idea what to think of, and it would only be kind of a speculation.
Yeah. So
How do I get up that mindset? Yeah.
yeah. So Utkarsh, I believe this will continuously change, but the discipline of writing 100-year vision will give you more answers of things that you think about. I'll tell you a small example. When we started Innov8, we made a list of things that we want to do. So our first plan was that we will be building Innov8. My 5-year mission was that I will be building 4 Innov8s in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, and Chandigarh. ये मेरा vision था. Now I wrote down that vision. 100 years में, my vision was that I will be building 100 Innov8s. Now, and those were small Innov8s, 80 seaters, 100 seaters and all. But I had a plan in mind. That was a sucky plan, extremely poor plan. But the moment you have that plan, you have a motivation. And you feel very empowered. Because as entrepreneurs, all of us, one thing which is different of our mind than the mindset of your friend who's an employee in a TCS is that we want to leave a legacy behind. आपको पता है 100 साल के बाद शायद आप जिंदा ना हो, लेकिन आप उतना डीपली सोच पाते हो. That gives you the confidence of leaving a legacy behind. I then realized, जब ये सब किया, after meeting a lot of people, you meet people and your plans keep on changing. Then my plan came कि नहीं यार ये छोटे सेंटर से बात नहीं बनेगी. I went to YC. I had a word with my YC partner Michael Siebel. He said 1000 सीटर के सेंटर्स बनाओ. I immediately took a flight back from San Francisco, came to Bangalore. In front of Kormangla Starbucks, took an entire cotton mill and built a 750 seater campus, 760 seater campus. Now, while coming back, my vision changed. That now we will be building not 5 in 5 years, we will be building 50 campuses of 1000 seater each in the next 5 years. Then my 100, but this gradual shift will actually take you, this will actually help you in attracting talent. You are basically a salesman. We are all salesmen. हम ना बेचते हैं. हमारे परिवार में ना, I don't know if I can use Hindi here. हमारे परिवार में what happens is, मेरे को बचपन से सिखाया गया है कि सेल्स ना बड़ी तुच्छ नौकरी है. सेल्स में ना आप किसी को कुछ बेचते हो. हमारे यहाँ पे ना MR जो होते हैं ना, मेडिकल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स, मेरे डैड डॉक्टर, वो है ना ये शान से बैठते हैं और MR लाइन में खड़े होते हैं, 2-2 घंटे वेट करते हैं मेरे डैड को मिलने के लिए. Now my father thinks that यार MR का तो नौकरी अच्छा नहीं होता. I believe that if you want to do anything in life, the first thing that you need to learn is sales. और आप MR बन जाओ एक बार. आप जो क्रेडिट कार्ड बेचते हैं ना, आप वो वाला my sister is about to become a dermatologist, so she was here for 3 months. She said that I want to intern with you. I said great, good. I said your first job is go into a mall. I will connect you with someone, meet him and try to sell him this credit card. कहती नहीं पागल हो गया, मुझे शर्म आती है, मैं नहीं कर सकती. So I believe that as a salesman, the moment you have clarity, अगर आप MR के पास देखो ना, पूरा बैग होता है, उस बैग के अंदर ना उसके डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं, कंपनीज के पेपर होते हैं, उसका एक ब्रोशर होता है. हमें ऐसे करके ना आपके भी ब्रोशर्स हैं कुछ. एज अ फाउंडर, अगर आपको 5 साल 100 साल की विजन हो जाएगी ना, आप जब किसी अच्छे टैलेंट को हायर करने जाओगे ना, ही विल से कि यार ये बंदा बात तो सही कह रहा है, साला 100 साल आगे की सोच रहा है, कुछ तो बात है इस बंदे में. जब आप अपना प्लान चेंज करोगे, फिर आपको बेटर लोग उससे चाहिए होंगे, फिर आप 100 साल की विजन बोलोगे. जब आपके पास योर कॉन्फिडेंस इन डू यू नो, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, आउट of 100 companies that are formed in ROC in India, 93 companies shut down in the first 8 years. 98 shut down in the first 12 years. Companies, out of 500 listed companies in India, back in 1965, today, only 28 companies are there. बाकी सब उड़ गई. Now, just imagine the impact of a 100-year vision. आदमी कहता है कर पाता है नहीं कर पाता बाद में देखेंगे, बट एटलीस्ट सोचा तो सही. और 90% सक्सेस सोच की है. द प्रॉब्लम इज पीपल डोंट थिंक. द प्रॉब्लम इज, मेरे बहुत सारे मेडिकल दोस्त हैं, ठीक है, मेरे साथ जो काम करते थे गंगाराम में, 30-40,000 रुपए की दुआ है. It's a thankless job being a doctor, but I really respect doctors because they do things which are amazing. But they come to me and they say, यार कि ना रितेश तू सही निकल गया, कि तू इससे निकल के तू आगे बढ़ा, तू लकी है. मैंने कहा ब्लडी आर यू मैड? लक इज साइंस, लक इज बोल्डनेस इनटू कीन ऑब्जर्वेशन इनटू एक्शन. जब तक तू बोल्डली एक्शन नहीं लेगा ना, जब तक तू बड़ा नहीं सोचेगा, तू कहां से आगे बढ़ जाएगा. और उतना सोचने के बाद भी साला somehow we are, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने कोई बहुत बड़ी कंपनी बना दी, being very honest with you. What I'm saying is that have a bold plan and articulate that plan in clarity. That will be the best thing for you to sell to your team, who will in turn, you cannot do everything. People who don't delegate will eventually fall. So I hope this answers your question.
Right. So to summarize, you're saying I should make a long-term plan. Sorry, not a long-term plan. Have a vision in my mind, and then even if I don't have a plan, have that vision, and then start thinking of what would help me to reach to that vision, and then plan it. Yeah.
Change.
Exactly. And iterate. Yeah. On top of that, iterate, and then change my vision, and then plan according to it, and then do it. And how it will help me is getting new people to hire. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mitaksha.
Hi Ritesh.
Hi Mitaksha.
So Ritesh, it feels so magical to interact with you, because we all have seen Innov8 somewhere or the other, and I was also working in Mumbai in Powai. So while going to my office, I used to see Innov8, and now seeing you talking live with me, so it feels really magical right now.
Thank you.
So yeah. So Ritesh, my question was that you mentioned that you never had a VC, and when you were just starting out, when you were just in your early days, like you said, you just thought of quitting the job at Gangaram Hospital, and then starting off with this venture. Then what was the main source of income that you had? Yeah.
I took money from my dad. I took 25 lakh rupees.
Oh, okay, that's great.
So I told you that I hail from a decently privileged family, that I can fight, and मेरे डैड ने ना मेरे लिए 25 लाख रुपए है ना डोनेशन के लिए रखे हुए थे, कि है ना इसको आगे है ना मेडिसिन पढ़ाने में काम आएंगे. वो FD खुलवा के है ना I took money from him. He was not about it, but he made me the signing authority at the right time, so I leveraged that.
So yeah, that answers my question. Thank you so much.
Satvik.
Satvik has asked so much. Can you talk about the fourth disorder on the first slide? Okay, so this is very interesting. Now that you all are decently close, I can always share this with you. Just give me 1 minute. So this is the fourth disorder. We hail from a country which, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. FNP.
So this is the fourth disorder called the FNP, or the face not pretty syndrome. अभी तो मैं फिर भी थोड़ा सा smart लगता हूँ, बाल कटवाए हुए हैं, but back in school and college I was like 42, 45, extremely dark shaded. And हमारे country के अंदर, a country which consumes fair and lovely like anything, from a Punjabi family, it's very difficult to I still remember my dadi ma, we stay in a joint family, used to take वो जो टिकिया वाला पाउडर नहीं होता, मेरे मुंह पे लगाती थी कि है ना लड़का गोरा होके जाए. So the FNP stands for the face not pretty syndrome. This is also called the Bollywood syndrome, in which actresses like Aishwarya Rai date Chandrachud Singh in movies like Josh. Actresses like Aishwarya Rai date Rajnikant in movies like Robot. And you feel कि यार अगर रजनीकांत और चंद्रचूड़ को ऐश्वर्या मिल सकती है, तो रितेश तुझे क्लास की सबसे सुंदर लड़की क्यों नहीं मिल सकती है? So I proposed 19 girls in my life, and all of them said a no. This is nothing but a story of perseverance. So now the DVD, how I managed the DVD was as follows. एक एक्सरसाइज थी डीवीडी को कंट्रोल करने की, एंड दैट वाज आपको दिन में 3 घंटा ये करना है. पहले मैं बोलता था ग धीमे धीमे करत अभ्यास. मी एंड माय डैड यूज्ड टू वर्क 1.5 घंटे के 2 स्लॉट्स मॉर्निंग और इवनिंग में. फाइनली नाउ आई कैन स्पीक आर मच बेटर देन ऑल ऑफ यू. आई स्पीक at places like Harvard University, and I realized that the only way to conquer yourself is to work really hard on your weaknesses. BBE stands for bullied by everyone syndrome. I've actually intentionally removed the face, but ये लड़का मेरे को सबसे ज़्यादा bully करता था मेरे school में, and now he's one of my employees. So forgive but never forget. This is APS, Asian Parent Syndrome. My dad, and he's my best friend, but my family were the ones. I still remember my grandmother and my mother saying that the day June 14th, 1989, when I was born, my father held me in his hands. After checking my sex, whether I was a male or a female, he said, "Mera beta, जब 35 साल का होगा, he will become DM in pediatric cardiology." He did not decide my school, he did not decide my plus two, he did not decide my graduation, he did not decide my post graduation, he decided my post graduation diploma back in 1989. This is Asian Parent Syndrome. And today, when I fought with the family and finally became an entrepreneur, and I think now they're decently proud of me. But yes, now my father has also decided that he wants to cut down his medical practice and actually become an entrepreneur. FNP, आप सब कुछ ठीक कर सकते हो, आप अपने तोतलेपन को ठीक कर सकते हो, आप अपने family को मना सकते हो. But after getting rejected from 19 girls, it's very difficult to actually live up with confidence. But yes, this is the 20th one. This is my wife, and the whole idea is that करत करत अभ्यास जड़मती होत सुजान. लहरों से डर के नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So the mindset is keep on trying, keep on trying. I hope this helps.
Awesome. Shruti, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, hi Ritesh. This has been such an incredible session. I'm assigned to take notes, and I've just been typing like crazy for the last 1 hour. So I was just curious. I'm sure you don't actively participate in Innov8. I'm not sure. I'm just curious. What do you think the co-working space would be like now with the whole wake of COVID and every new entrepreneur or every new founder trying to save money as much as possible, but also have the facility of getting work done? And additionally, between the competition that Innov8 would probably have, be it office, be it WeWork, in whichever capacity of WeWork or other participants, co-work space, WeWork space, all of them, who do you think would be most likely to ride the whole wave better than the other?
Got it. So Shruti, this is a very interesting and a very relevant question. Post-pandemic, honestly, none of us had this, even in our wildest dreams. This is, and being very honest, this is a difficult time for the industry, not only for Innov8, not only for WeWork, but the entire industry of co-working worldwide has been hit. That being said, now two things will happen. One, that work from home adoption was a clear path by 2030, 2035. But no one thought that work from home would work in 2020, and that too so relevantly. Actually, people have started questioning कि मैं पागल हूँ जो मैं 1-1 घंटा ट्रैफिक में रहता हूँ बैंगलोर के, मैं पागल हूँ जो इतनी दूर जाता हूँ अपनी फैमिली से. तो these are questions that people are asking themselves. We have seen a lot of founders who used to work at Innov8 now contemplate whether offices are needed or not. That being said, I believe this is what I believe, and this is what we have done. I realized that co-working as an industry is so new that there is relatively no competition between an Innov8 or a WeWork. We have not even scratched 1% of the entire potential, and this I'm talking about only in India. You will see 95% of all commercial assets by 2030 to be converted into co-working, because due to the pandemic, people have realized signing 5 to 9 year long leases, investing your capex, hard-earned capex to offices is a waste of very, very important income. So what we are seeing is post the pandemic, we are seeing obviously certain downsizing of our clients, but there is a new sort of a model which is emerging where we are very much sure that we will be able to ride the wave. And that is, working has changed. Conventional working के यार आपने 40 square feet per person दे दिया, that might not work. What will work is as follows. People are going to have flexible work styles. There will be more freelancers than people who are on companies' payrolls. And for that, what will happen is companies will not have offices, but they will have within their co-working spaces cafes. So as an example, I was having a word with Sairi, ma'am from Shiros. They are planning to build a Shiros cafe. एक जगह पे उनका ऑफिस होगा. Monday को everyone comes there. They have a lot of conference rooms, a lot of meeting rooms, a lot of huddle areas, town hall areas with no workstations. Okay, flexible workstations. On Tuesday, people will work from the nearest office is a co-working space from their house. On Wednesday, every puja room inside or every small corner of a particular person's flat, apartment or house will be converted into an office by a player like us. हम उसमें साउंड प्रूफिंग करेंगे बिकॉज अभी का वर्क फ्रॉम होम इज नॉट इफेक्टिव. बच्चा तेज तेज चिल्ला रहा है, दादी माँ पीछे से बुला रही है कि भाई तू मटर छील दे. इट्स नॉट इफेक्टिव. What we realized was what will work is giving them proper firewalls and monitoring their productivity, making sure you have soundproof cabins and giving a seamless work experience कि जैसे आपको लगे कि आप ऑफिस ही आए हुए हो. On Thursday again you go to the headquarters. On Friday you go to the nearest office space. Saturday you again work from home. This is the blend that will work. I believe co-working spaces का adoption in the near long term will spike and have a significant inward V-shaped recovery because people have seen जो landlords के साथ 9 साल के रिश्ते थे ना वो सब खत्म हो जाएंगे. People will want to have 2, 3, 4, 5 month lock-ins ताकि है ना because they don't know the surety of business. Things have become, but honestly speaking, things have become so scary. People are actually very scared कि उनको पता ही नहीं 5 महीने के बाद क्या होने वाला है. So in this volatile market, co-working will come to the rescue, and though there will be a short term, and for this what we have done is we cannot fight for an industry which is so small. So we've created all of us together. 95% of the co-working industry of India has come together and built something called Indian Workspaces Association. Okay. We work, Innov8, 91 Springboards, AWFIS, Insta Office, Stirring Minds, सब आ गए हैं. And together we are formulating practices to actually help the industry grow. और अब होगा क्या? जैसे hospitality के अंदर there's a Ginger, there's an Oyo, there's a Taj, there's an Oberoi, we will have a lot of interdiverse differentiations within co-working as well. So I believe that this will be a very important uptick in co-working's adoption. That being said, I think this will take some time.
Thank you.
And
thank you so much.
Subject to
subject to a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hemant. Yeah. So, Ritesh, we just have a couple more questions. So Hemant. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thanks for letting me ask. So. First of all, I'm sorry for not starting the video. I'm in a very awkward lighting situation. So I have a question about my own startup idea. So this is my first wave of entrepreneurship. So my question is about the market size. Lately I was worried about whether I will have enough market size to come up with 1 million users or not. My idea is about a social platform for a set of creative talent, not something that solves problem for the entire India. So I'm not finding any data decently reliable or of decent clarity on the internet. So how would you go about it? Just if you have any ideas. Yeah.
So my request would be, don't worry about market size. If your product is good, there are millions of companies. You take the example of Salesforce. Salesforce, when they started, their B2B software was for a very specific niche. Today, there are companies that are listed on IPO that have 21% of their expense to Salesforce. So you will eventually enter into new areas. The question is, this is my personal thought process. Can you get 100 loyal customers who are mad about Hemant? Okay, yaar, Hemant baap aadmi hai yaar, tu मतलब क्या बना दिया? What have you created? And then just build for these 100 customers, help these 100 customers get more customers for you. But it is better to have 100 people who absolutely adore your product than to have 1 million people who just like it. I believe that for today, market size, and this is also, and please don't mind, I'll be very honest with you, this is also a procrastination syndrome, where you continuously, you cannot validate an idea. The best way to validate your idea is to work on it 48 hours में ना, I don't know, this might not work in your industry, but 48 घंटे में, एक हफ्ते में, एक महीने में launch your product. अपने आप market size का पता चल जाएगा, नहीं अगर अच्छा चला बंद कर देंगे. The idea is adopt failure and make failure as your best friend. Success is nothing but failure turned inside out. And as founders, you never hear failure stories. Each and every founder has. Some are candid enough to share, some are not, because failures are not been celebrated as a badge of honor. For me personally, if you ask me, there have been so many failures that you can't even imagine. And अगर एक भी failure नहीं होता ना, तो वो success आ ही नहीं पाती. So my request is that don't waste a lot of time in philosophical island. Get to action. Don't do market research. Start your product. Eventually, if you have the ability to get 100 loyal customers who continuously pay for your service and are getting value out of it, you can enter into any industry in the world and make money, which is just next to your present industry. I don't know whether you agree with this or not, but my request would be to take action, jump, and don't worry about the market size, at least when you start.
Yeah, that makes sense. That yeah, I need to start, but it again moves back into that area of clarity. So if someone says you're not even clear about your market size, how can you dive into it? That's what I was worried about.
Market size is, no one will ask you about your market size. Honestly, people are asking about your market size. No, that means that we are not in the stage of market size. Market size is when you are raising your series A, maybe an angel round. When you start a product, your first focus, your clarity should be, how does this product focus on my immediate users? How do I add value to his or her life? That is it. Don't worry about your market size. Trust me.
Got
Happy
it.
to help in any way.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ritesh. Yeah.
Rupin, you want to ask the last question?
Yeah. Hi, Ritesh. Thanks for the talk. It was fantastic. And uh, a lot of things that you said echoed with me. But the one thing that I really try to struggle, and I'm not even starting up right now, but my question was, how important is sales? Because, one thing is you have an idea. The other thing is you have sales. So for a person to build a business, how important is sales? Will that be the defining quality of your success as a businessman? If yes, how do you become better at it? That's what I'm trying to be myself.
So Rupen, I believe that the first fundamental is you, yourself, your mindset, and your ability to build trust with people. But that's a given. Whenever someone is starting, that's a given. Second one is product. No great person can sell a bad product. This is very fundamental. You see any large company in the world, you cannot state that नहीं यार ये company ने ना बहुत ज़्यादा that they have not built a good product. Fundamental cue towards every success is your ability to build great products. That is more important than sales. But there are a lot of good products that have not been able to IPO or build wealth because sales was not a key attribute to it. My belief is that sales honestly, I'm not very good with sales because I hate negotiations. I'm a very introvert person. अभी तो मैं फिर भी बोलने लग गया हूँ. But I have always been shy of sales because I used to feel कि यार क्या यार मतलब 1-2 हज़ार रुपए के लिए ना ले लो मतलब it doesn't matter. But I realized that building a sales engine, it doesn't matter whether you like sales or not, but building the sales engine, creating the lead funnel, sales is so important. एक बार आपका product अच्छा हो गया, if you want to build a 100 million ARR business, if you don't have a sales engine, you will not be able to create value. And this, honestly, I have learned personally from the CEO of OYO India and South Asia, Rohit, who is a very dear friend of mine. And the moment we merged with OYO, we've learned one thing, that we were very good with product building, but we were we suck at selling. Now we have an entire platform. Now we see कि वो skills होती कैसे है. एक टीवी के ऊपर ना सारी एंटी ऑक्यूपेंसीज आती हैं, which always puts you on spot कि यार इतनी सीटें अभी बिकी नहीं है, इतना रेवेन्यू और लेके आ सकते हो. नेगेटिव आउटलुक जाता है, पॉजिटिव रीइंफोर्समेंट जाता है, इंसेंटिवाइजेशन जाती है. सेल्स इज गॉड, मतलब क्योंकि पैसा धर्म है. पैसा होएगा तो आप अच्छा आप अच्छा काम कर सकते हो. पैसा होएगा, आपके पास दो ऑप्शन है, या तो पैसा इन्वेस्टर से लाओ या पैसा कस्टमर से लाओ. इट्स ऑलवेज गुड टू गेट मनी फ्रॉम कस्टमर्स फर्स्ट. सो माय रिक्वेस्ट इज सेल्स के लिए आई वुड से see Skillshare पे there are a lot of good video casts on sales. I have personally learned from them. Second, I would request all of you to see Frontline PBS का Amazon का एक Rise and Reign of Jeff Bezos है. ये 2 घंटे की डॉक्यूमेंट्री है. It's so good. Spend 1.5 hours each day on learning something new. And this is compounding effect, by the way. होगा क्या, आप जैसे एक साल आपके जैसे 365 डेज का 1.5 घंटा हो जाएगा ना, ट्रस्ट मी, यू विल इंक्रीज योर वैल्यू बाय एटलीस्ट $10 million. ट्रस्ट मी, मतलब आई एम सो कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट इट. जस्ट रीड, जस्ट कीप ऑन लर्निंग. एंड सेल्स ना कोई नहीं सिखा सकता. आप खुद ही अगर आप इंक्विजिटिव हो ना, ऑनलाइन में इतना शक्ति है ना. मैं तो जो प्रॉब्लम होती है 2 घंटा बैठता हूँ ऑनलाइन पे, सब सीख जाते हो आप. बट बिल्डिंग सेल्स कैपेबिलिटीज आर अ मस्ट टू बिकम अ लार्ज कंपनी. आई थिंक वी कुड हैव बिकम अ यूनिकॉर्न आवरसेल्व्स इफ वी हैड दोस सेल्स कैपेबिलिटीज.
Perfect, Ritesh. Thank you so much.
So this brings to us to the end of the session. This has been a phenomenal session, Ritesh. I think the energy at which with which you spoke, the passion which you displayed, shows how much you like doing what you're doing, and that's a great takeaway for all of us in this session.
Thank you. Happy to
everybody, can we just unmute and give him a big round of applause? That's the max we can do. So it's for you today. And it would be good to have you on the community as well. I think you'll add a lot of value.
Please let me know how I can plug in and how I can help.
Yeah, I'll just send you the link for the Slack, and it will be great. And once again, thank you everyone.
My last bit to everyone is that there are so many great products which have not been listed on App Store and Play Store and even on the NYSE or the Bombay Stock Exchange because people have not taken action. If one thing that you can do is just take action. 48 hours is all you need to actually prove or disapprove your theory. Don't procrastinate.
That's so true.
So great, Divakar. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. And I hope you're feeling better now, folks.
I'm all recovered. Yeah. You can see my energy. I'm all recovered. Much better now.
Great, man.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We should catch up sometime.